GMO labeling bill gains House approval. The House of Representatives voted on Thursday to require the labeling of foods that contain genetically engineered ingredients, clearing the bill's final obstacle before it heads to the White House, where President Obama is expected to sign it into law. Today's vote is a resounding victory not only for consumers and common sense but also for the tremendous coalition of agricultural and food organizations that came together in unprecedented fashion to get this solution passed, said Pamela G. Bailey, chief executive of the Grocery Manufacturers Association. The long road to labeling foods with genetically engineered, or GMO, ingredients is drawing to a close after a battle that cost food and biotech companies hundreds of millions of dollars over the last few years. But the wrangling over how the language of the law will be interpreted and put into practice will probably go on for years. What today really means is that we've left the legislative period of this battle after 7 years and moved into the regulatory and marketplace phase of it, which was where it was always headed anyway, said Gary Hirschberg, a founder of Just Label It, a coalition that advocates labeling. The Food and Drug Administration, for instance, has said the bill's definition of which foods would require labeling would not include many products containing highly refined oil and sweeteners like canola oil or high fructose corn syrup. After processing, such ingredients contain no genetic material that would identify them as coming from a genetically engineered source, which is what the bill requires. The Agriculture Department, which will oversee GMO labeling under the law, has disagreed with that interpretation, but many say the definition of what requires labeling and what does not will ultimately end up in court. A court interpreting the issues that will be raised in litigation, and there's no question that there will be litigation, will look first and probably only to the language of the statute, Senator Richard Blumenthal, Democrat of Connecticut, said at a news conference on labeling last week. The bill allows companies several choices for labeling. They can add text to a label stating that it contains genetically engineered ingredients, put a symbol, yet to be determined, on packaging to denote such ingredients, or use a digital link like a quick response, or QR, code that consumers can scan with their smartphones. Many proponents of GMO labeling contend that anything short of text will allow food companies to obscure the genetically engineered ingredients in their packaging. They object in particular to QR codes, which they consider discriminatory because many consumers do not have access to the tools needed to read them.